Okay. Hi, thank you for joining us. This is in conversation with frontline workers that are working actively in the Black community, and we're going to talk about their lived experience, as well as the work that they do and how they are able to help people get through any issues that they're dealing with currently, and the effect of any obstacles and issues that they faced and how it's affected their lives and how they're able to get through that. So that's the conversation that we're going to be having tonight. Joining us in this conversation are Aaron Greaves and Eddie. If you can, Martinez, that's what I thought. Okay, great. So if you want to take a moment to introduce yourself, I'll start first with you, Eddie.
Hello, my name is Eddie Martinez. I'm a coordinator for a program called HOPE. It's an acronym for Helping Offenders on Probation Excel at Young Street Mission. And my job is to deal with those that are in conflict with the law and help them to reintegrate properly, by giving them opportunities that will help them to not to reoffend. So reduce recidivism is our primary goal.
Okay. And Aaron, what is it that you do and in the role that you play?
Well, I'm formerly with Hope, with Eddie, working alongside him with my lived experience. Now I work for HepCure. I'm an intake coordinator, and what we do is we bring healthcare to those who are street involved. Anything from testing for hepatitis C to renewing health cards and things of those nature.
Okay. So how what happened in your life that brought you to being in the position that you are today? So talk a little bit about what happened and the offense you committed and the result of that.
Well, to be very transparent, growing up when I was younger, my mother passed away when I was 7, the same month I turned 7. So with her not being with my father, just not really having a lot of guidance. I grew up in Etobicoke, the West Mall area, and just seeing what I saw every day, what my reality was, it definitely shaped my life a little bit and my thought process and my path. So unfortunately at 20 years old, charged with a firearm. I was wanting better for myself, but now dealing with my criminal record, I wanted to go back to school. And I was finding difficulty in that when I went back to school for community and justice services. My teachers, my professors would say, "Hey, what are you going to do with this, and how are you going to pass?" They didn't want me to continue because they would see it as a waste of time. Because if I have a record, I couldn't get employment. So I fought past that, and now I had to get a placement, and I couldn't get one anywhere at all. I was writing very long cover letters and just letting people know, like, hey, some of the barriers that your clients have, I know how to face them. I can help them get over it. But no matter what I said and what I'd done, how professional I was, it wasn't working. And then in an interview, I met Eddie Martinez. I seen him in an interview, and what he stood for, Hope, Helping Offenders on Probation Excel. And I thought, if anyone's gonna give me a shot, hopefully it's him. It was my last chance. I was really stressed at that time. And he met me and we did an interview and he accepted me into the program. And I started my placement with him, and it went very well. I went on to graduate. I got rewards from school for the most contribution to the program. I was the first student in Sheridan College to ever have a placement with Young Street Mission. So yeah, I was a trailblazer right there. And from there, Eddie maintained work for me, got me multiple contracts within Hope program, and it's been going great. And even now I'm in a different career path, and I got the help from Hope. They gave me the alley-oop to where I'm at now. So that's a little bit about my story.
Okay. So in the role that you play now, what is it exactly that you're doing?
Okay, so I work for HepCure. That is a company, that healthcare company is strictly focused on healthcare for hepatitis C. So a lot of times you see in street involved population, where there be people who are doing needles, like, you know, those type of drugs, or people who are in the prison population. A lot of people have hepatitis C and they don't know about it. It's a liver disease. It's something that may seem simple, but your liver is responsible for over 500 functions in your body. You know, growing up in school, I thought it was only for drinking alcohol, you know, but it's responsible for a lot. So we help with strictly hepatitis C. It's a niche because, you know, I could test you for COVID, I could test you for a lot of things, but we don't have the antidote and the cures for those. So hepatitis, we have the antidote, we have the cure, we get with the medication. It takes a patient 2 months to complete that. So we provide that for free. We provide gift cards every time your nurse comes to see you, and we provide cell phones as well. So even though it's strictly hepatitis C, we do a lot within that work frame.
Okay. And so predominantly that's the work that you do, and the people, the street youth that you work with. How, other than, you know, using that as an opportunity to connect with them, what are you noticing in the community when you have direct communication with these youth?
Well, in the community, I'm working with more adults now. So those who are youth or who are phasing out into the adult population, and it's very it's hard at times because, you know, we're dealing straight with them one-on-one. I'm the third person you talk to all week, face to face, and today we're Thursday, you know, so it's hard. I'm seeing the mental part of the pandemic, the mental health piece, and that's just on top to what they're going through already. A lot of people don't have jobs, a lot of people have criminal records. They know what step to take, they don't know how to better themselves, you know, they don't know who to turn to. So just seeing those problems face on, and with all like the experience that I got from Young Street Mission's Hope program and my personal experience, it's like the perfect place to meet them, you know, to offer them more services, or just sometimes people just need a person to talk to and understand where they're coming from, and a little bit of guidance to know where they need to go.
Okay. Do you feel that most of the people that that you're working with that are affected are from the Black community? Like, what percentage of those do you feel are from the Black community?
There you go. You could
No, we're here. So do you want to repeat, Aaron, because we didn't hear you?
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you now. Yeah. So what percentage of the people that you are in contact with and the work that you do are from the Black community? How many?
Okay. Sorry, I think you said it's a little hard hearing, but I think you said what percentage of the population that I'm dealing with who are Black. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. Yes. So the conversation, we're trying to humanize the statistic of how many Black lives are being affected by this issue, and if so, like, who are the people that are being affected? So you are in a position where you are directly in communication and are working with people whose lives have been affected, and you're trying to provide them with resources and services. How many of those people within your community are Black, and are they being affected by any other issues that you've been able to identify?
Well, I would say it depends where you look. When we look at the safe injection sites or some shelters, there is predominantly white, but now when we're looking at more street youth, and you know, when as the Black people, and they're faced with so much because they already have so much trauma, you know, coming from what they're coming from. So it's just like compounded trauma now and stress, so it's a lot that they're dealing with.
Okay. I believe somebody just joined us in conversation, so we'll see if they're available to speak.
Hi.
Hey, Charles.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Extremely full.
Oh, are you really? Okay. Had a lot to eat, eh?
No. I mean, full in not that way.
Yeah, no.
Not in the food
Busy,
foil.
busy.
You know, no, busy. Like,
Busy. You have a lot going on.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks for taking the time to join the conversation. We actually started, so we could take a moment. It is a live chat, but we could start the conversation again. And give
I can just jump in for wherever you have,
Sure, we could do it that way as well. Okay, great. So I'll reintroduce the participants tonight. So we have Aaron Greaves, who is Aaron, did you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, if you guys can hear me, hopefully you guys can hear me. I'm having some technical difficulties. Hello, Charles. My name is Aaron Greaves. I'm formerly with Hope, helping offenders on probation excel with Eddie Martinez, led by Eddie Martinez. It's for people 16 to 29 who have conflict with the law. I'll let Eddie definitely capitalize on what he does. But I work with Eddie, and now I am doing HepCure. I'm an intake coordinator for a company that does hepatitis C services for street involved people.
Fantastic. Pleasure to meet you, brother.
Thank you, brother.
And Eddie?
Yeah, first I would want to say greetings, Charles, officer. I seen your film, was touched by it. Very emotional. So I can't wait to really dive in on that, connecting the dots with our perspective and our experience. Nonetheless, my name is Eddie Martinez. I'm a coordinator for a program called HOPE. It's an acronym for Helping Offenders on Probation Excel. And we work with people that are on probation primarily, but those who have conflict with the law situation. And from a small court matter before they are convicted, or after they're convicted, even when they go to prison and get on parole. So probation and parole, but just conflict with the law situation. Our goal is to reduce recidivism, shut that revolving door in the justice system.
Respect. That's fantastic. Wow. Two powerful brothers right here doing amazing things. Thank you. Yeah, I guess me? Do I say so?
Yes, that's you. So
Right.
leading the conversation tonight, Charles. As we had mentioned before, it's an extension as it pertains to issues that affect the Black community. So your film focused on a certain aspect of issues that affected the Black community as told through the eyes of one of your subjects, a young girl and her family and their lived experience. I wanted to add to that by talking to frontline workers and ex-offenders who have gone through the criminal justice system with adversely affects the Black community here in Canada, and talk about their experience and the work that they're presently doing in the community and how it's affecting us. So that is the frame for the conversation for this evening. So I'll hand it over to you.
You're handing it over to me.
Yes, to lead the conversation. So I wasn't sure if that was entirely clear. If it's not, then we'll continue like this.
No, that was never entirely clear to me. I was that I'm leading the conversation. Sorry, leading the conversation with respect to the film, because I mean I'm just a little discombobulated here. So because the film was used, and I'm leading the conversation about the experiences of I mean, I'm sorry, I wasn't aware that I'm
okay, so I guess this was lost in communication when we were setting up the conversation. Okay, so we are using this as an opportunity to learn more about lives that are affected within the Black community, about the Black experience in Canada. So your film touched on a certain aspect of that. We were talking on your film and making the connections between what you were able to discover about the experience that this family had and how it affected them in this community. And an extension of that is, what are some other things that are happening within the community? How are these lives? Who are these people? What are the lives that they lived? And they talk about their experience, what happened to them, and humanizes a statistic of these occurrences within the Black community in Canada. People are then able to learn about the Black experience in Canada and are able to apply that knowledge to issues that are affecting their own communities elsewhere.
Well, I mean, first and foremost, thank you for inviting me, but
You're welcome.
I wasn't really clear on that. You know, the work that I do in the community is that I try to tell our stories from our perspective. With Unarmed Verses, it is which is takes place in a community housing complex in northeast of the city, called Villa Ways, that now is no longer exists, the community as it was. You know, so the idea of you know, where this particular young girl lived at the time, her family, what she was experiencing from a governmental point of view, is something that we as Black people contend with in terms of how we are positioned. What is where the care is neglected in terms of where we live, our homes, our environment, and what this film, you know, going in, first of all, okay, the film is one thing, okay, but the work that I do with youth and my activism lies within the empowerment of Black youth. That's something that I've been constantly working with. Now, this particular film and this community was not a community that I was a part of. I had to find the respect and spend time in this community. So I'm talking as a human being, as a brother who went in to work with youth, definitely with the intention to make a film, but it was more important for me to engage with the youth and understand what they were going through, and they were quite young, because I was going in there with the question that actually, you know, art isn't a savior for everybody. It's these outlets, and because there were these art programs that were getting financed around the city that aren't run by people who look like us. They would go into communities and do these programs, and there's absolutely very little follow through. There's very little support in terms of, well, why are kids being, you know, steered into these programs that are funded by someone else when they can't even, you know, they don't have food to eat. They don't have the essential things that keep them sustained. So it's always been something that angers me, that level of disparity. So, but I do believe that in every community, the community that I grew up in and the community that I was entering when I had to gain the trust of people in this community, is that there is such a vibrant and ingenious spirit within the community. And it was my intention to help those youth that were there to find another pathway to some expressions that they had not been exposed to. So it wasn't going in there and doing these art programs with this sort of flighty attitude that it's going to save them. It was an entry point into exploring aspects that they hadn't explored in themselves, and aspects in the world, such as, for the simple example of, you know, historically how individuals have been trying to contain us and control us in certain areas, that it was a big issue for some of these youth to travel downtown in Toronto, in a city that they have every right and ownership to explore. But I'm interested in I mean, I exchanged text message with Francine today. I made this film in 2017. You know, she's not someone that's out of my life. She is still experiencing a serious struggle with finances and where she's trying to move herself forward in her education, but she is facing immigration problems, right? So there are the recurring themes that actually happen within right here in Canada, that there's a system that actually isn't really supporting us. So that's why I would, you know, Eddie, and what you're doing is the necessity of creating programs for us by us is what you're doing. So in that respect, that's why I make films. That's that. But I'm actually interested to hear about, you know, from you, Eddie, and as well as you, Aaron, like what is it that you're contending with, and why was it important for you to create this whole program? What are your personal experiences that led you to making these choices? It's not easy to organize and to create a program. And what is at the core of it for you? What was missing?
Wonderful question. I'm gonna jump on it first, Aaron. Well, I'm from the U.S. Originally from the U.S. Originally from New York City. Moved down south, changed my lifestyle. I was involved in the streets when I was in New York City. I went down south, and my life changed. I seen kids in high school working, driving cars, and I was so amazed by a 16-year-old driving a car, their own car at high school. So I was like, what, how did you do this? And an individual told me, my friend at the time was like, he works at McDonald's. And I was like, McDonald's? I would never work at McDonald's. Coming from a New York City mind and street, you know, you think those low paying jobs, nothing. You rather hustle, you know, so I would rather hustle to make some real money and take my chances with the law. But when I seen that you can make money legally, have a car, and no law will be on your back, it changed my world. So when I was so upset when my mother moved down south. It was the state of North Carolina. Nonetheless, I moved to Carolina, finished high school, went back to New York, then went back to North Carolina and got actually into law enforcement. I was a detention officer, and then I became a deputy sheriff. So I was really in law enforcement, dealing with the apprehensive part, apprehending criminals, such forth. Working at the detention center, I was able to actually build relationship with those on the inside. And when I left that position, I realized that for me, I was like, man, I miss doing that. I miss connecting with those. In that way, I was able to. Initially, it was hard. I mean, you know, you are an officer and you're trying to uphold law and you're Black and inmates. It was rough, but I learned to work it out through conversation, through dialogue. And because I was able to do that, I realized I found my passion. So long story short, I moved to Toronto 2012. And I was trying to get back into law enforcement, but then there was a shift. I got into a job called Young Street Mission. That's where I'm at currently employed right now, Young Street Mission. And I just started to work with street involved people, and it was on a different level. And I really started to like my job. However, I was volunteering at the court, probation. I was a probation intake officer at the court, College Park. And when I was seeing the guys that's coming out of court, they were actually guys that come to Young Street Mission. And I was like, oh, what's going on? They're like, hey, Eddie, what's going on? And I'm like, what you doing here? I got a charge. Or I was locked up. And then I started to see, like, I said, oh my goodness, what are we doing at my organization in regards to the gap? Because Young Street Mission is a wonderful organization, been around over 100 years. They provide food. You know, it's a drop-in center. They provide food for homeless people. You could come in. You have, you know, we got a medical center. We have daycare. We have mental health, a lot of different things that cater to the needs of people, but there was a void with the justice system. And I said, you could do all these things, but if you don't get rid of the crime problem, it will just completely repeat itself over and over. So I asked my supervisor, hey, can I come up with a program that will kind of work with this? And they were kind of like, you know, it's an organization. I'm bringing a whole program to an organization. So they was like, let's try to figure it out. They was working with me. You know, and I was just so excited. No, this is what we're going to do. And they gave me the chance, and they started to see the results. And needless to say, then they said, okay, you know what? We're going to help you get funding. And we finally got funding to now. I got a staff. You know, before we had this young man, Aaron, he was a student placement. I met him through social media. He heard me in an interview and reached out to me, and we connected. And now we like, you know, that's like my brother right there. And he came on as a student placement, then he came on as a summer team. Mm-hmm. Then we got him another job, and then, you know, it was there. And his contract expired, and then now, you know, he went on to other things, but we're still connected. So that's in a nutshell. It's so much to say, but I want to hear the questions. I want to hear everybody talk and just really get into it, because I'm excited. And I want to just, as your movie relates to revitalization, I just want to say this, gentrification, revitalization. I don't know if we could stop that. You understand what I'm saying? So what my goal is to revitalize the individual. gentrify the individual. And that might sound crazy. What you mean gentrify? You see that they're building cities and they're bringing businesses in, revitalization. They're building businesses in to spruce up the economy. They gentrify and bring up the property value. So I'm going to talk about the individual. Let's bring up your worth. Let's get you educated. Let's get you the skills, because I can't stop that. You understand what I'm saying? But I can help you. And that's what the program is, helping offenders excel. You know what I'm saying? So not only satisfy what the courts require of you, but help you to excel what you lack. Okay, the courts want you to do this, you do this, but you still need an education. You still need so I'm working to find those, break down those walls and those barriers that you may be revitalized and that you could keep up with the society.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Thank you. Aaron, like, how long have you been working with Hope now? And how did you find what drew you to it? What was your why did you want to jump on that?
Sorry, is this question for me or Eddie? I just have a little technical difficulty.
No, that's for you, Aaron. That was for you. That was for you. That question was for you, Aaron. Oh. I think you're muted, Eddie.
So Aaron,
you have to repeat the question. I don't think he heard it.
Yeah.
To
clarify, Aaron is
sorry about that.
Hope. So he is he was one of the participants in the program, but he has moved on to another position and his role as an advocate working with an organization that works with youth and young adults affected by issues that they're facing. So Charles, you were asking Aaron about.
I mean, you just answered it. So it's still a valid question. Like, why did you want to continue to work with Hope? Like, what was it about? What did you experience that you felt that you had to share? You know what I mean?
Well, for me, sorry guys, I have a little technical difficulty. So if any of you guys don't hear anything, just let me know. I can repeat it. So the question, I believe, is what got me to work with Hope. For me, when I was younger, my mother passed away. You know, I grew up with no real influence of, like, you know, how to construct properly in life. I grew up in Etobicoke, a Westmount area. So, you know, I followed what I seen around me, led what I seen around me. And when I was 20 years old, I got convicted, or I got charged, sorry, originally for a firearm. And I ended up getting convicted and had to do some time. So through my run-ins with the law and stuff, you know, I always wanted to do better for myself. And, you know, after I got convicted, I said, let me go back to school. All right. So I went back to school for community and justice services. And, you know, it was hard. I couldn't, my teachers, my professors, they were basically saying, hey, are you sure you want to be in this program? Because you have a record, you might not be able to pass, you know? So they were trying to deter me, kind of, you know? So I didn't listen to that. I went to, you know, the dean, I talked to him, everything was good, but now I needed a placement to complete so I can complete my degree, right? So I couldn't get no placement anywhere. I was writing very long cover letters, you know, just my resume was great. You know, I had the personal experience. I've been through a lot of different things, but they wouldn't let me because my criminal record was a barrier. So I seen Eddie Martinez on an interview one night, and you know, he was doing this program helping offenders on probation excel. So I figured if he's helping offenders and people who have criminal records and those who have conflict with the law, you know, hopefully he can help me in a school aspect of me trying to better myself. And that's exactly what happened. We did an interview because obviously, you know, with a firearm charge, it's serious. I could be anybody, right? So he did an interview and he's like, I like you, man. You know, you seem like a great guy. So we started, and from there, it's no words can really describe. Within 1 week, we're on CBC talking to Dwight Drummond and Unity Force 30-year anniversary. From there, just so many great opportunities came to me. A lot of doors, a lot of helping people, a lot of sharing my stories and my personal experience, you know, with our clients, because they've been through a lot, you know, they've seen a lot of things, a lot of trauma. A lot of our clients, I don't know if Eddie mentioned it, some of our clients die, you know, some of them are dead. They're no longer here with us. Gun violence, different type of violence, you know. Me, I've been shot before. So I can share some experience. I can share what I've been through, you know, and they see me, some of the youth, they see me working in the court representing them, you know, and it's just eye opener for them. And also the judges and the COs, they would see me at court and they're just applaud, you know, somebody who's young is helping them as well, right? So I hope it has just been really great to me, man. You know, it helped me so much in my life, and that's just me working with them and finishing my placement and as a staff. So imagine as a client what's happening, you know.
And for that transition from now you're in a different position with the organization, like what is it like? That's huge. Like so because it worked for you, right? Or something triggered for you. But what about the brothers or the folks who it doesn't work for? Like how do you manage when someone is in the program for a while or something, because people do fall off and fall away?
Yeah.
For me, like what is the thing that you do in that respect, and how do you try to keep people involved and included? Like, because I think, you know, everyone's got their own individual circumstances and what pulls them and pushes them, and you're trying to do something really positive. And I love hearing about the positive sort of aspects of it, but it's like, what are the challenges of actually keeping people in program and even getting people back if they fall away? Like, is that something that you're contending with? Like,
I think I think for you know, for me, I might seem polished, you know, and everything's good, but I've been there. And when the dominoes fall, they fall. When it rains, it pours. You know what I mean? So that's the thing. I try to tell people that, hey, look, what, you know, it might seem like it's getting worse and worse and worse, but you have to try. You know, if you don't try, it's up to the individual at the end of the day, right? I mean, you don't get the job if you don't apply for it. Even if you get turned down 100 times, you got to keep applying, right? So I got to motivate them, let them know that, hey, it is possible to be done. And then also from a managerial standpoint or from a staff standpoint, you know, sometimes someone might have to be put on the back burner if they're not applying themselves the 110% or 100% or 90%. Sometimes for me to manage my stress, I would have to put them on the back burner and then put the importance on those who want to, you know, do better for themselves, right? And I just got to pour it into them. And, you know, we see it all the time. There's times where Eddie and myself are talking to an individual and, you know, Eddie's just spitting some game at them, letting them know, like, you know, certain stuff about life, because these are young guys, right? Young females as well. And they won't take the advice, and 6 months later they would be in prison or jail or got shot or something happened, you know. So I know it's you gotta catch people where they're at, and you gotta know that you can't apply too much. You gotta be there, be assertive, be there for them 24/7. But at the end of the day, it's up to the individual, right? So those are some struggles I've been having, you know, just trying to manage everything. Cause you're trying to do good, you're trying to do great for everybody, right? But in reality of it is, you got some people who are ready, some people are not ready, some people need to mess up a couple more times. You know, there was one individual, you know, a coworker of us, a coworker who me and Eddie worked with, got him a job. And this wasn't through programming at work or nothing. This was, that person had a great relationship with that store and got that person a job. So that person started the job, fumbled, lost the job, got it again, lost it again, you know. So you can imagine how that goes, you know. So those situations happen, but we got to be there to always be ready to lend a helping hand. You know, all right, you messed up this one. Do you understand why this job let you go? Do you see where you faulted? Do you know? And then after, we got to try again a different way, you know. So what Eddie says and what I say now too is, we got to take away the excuse from them. They're always going to come with the excuse. Hey, look, this happened. And it's not an excuse. We're not just throwing them off to say that's not valid or anything like that. But you know, life does happen, but hey, how can we get over this together? And that's the most important thing, is together. I can't just say, hey, you got to do this and you got to do that. I got to be there to walk with them. I got to hold their hand sometime, you know?
Yeah.
So those are some of the difficulties.
Wow. And Eddie, so I mean, as someone who's like running the program, there's another level of responsibility, yeah? Like what I wanted to ask you about just this question first, because I think there's something important about leadership, and about actually, you know, getting the support that you need to run your program. Like, can you talk about some of the challenges and obstacles that you've overcome, or like some that you're facing right now that you need to keep your program running, to help support it? Like what are those things for you?
Okay, so the program is good with running, but the key to support it is the major need.
The
You know,
sustainability of it.
we need support to I could do but so much. I'm one person, you know what I mean? We get a lot of placements and they rotate, and we get volunteers, but that's not a long commitment. So with funding now, we could create job opportunities for such a one as Aaron, who do have records, who do have lived experience, and put them in a professional capacity where now their peer support, you know, is very valid. You know, if I talk about my street days, that's kind of good, but I'm older, right? So they're like, oh, you're an old head. So somebody younger now, that's kind of closer to their age and more relatable, that would be even more better. You know, I do have my experience is valid though, because as one that is older, they do look at me as a father figure, you know what I mean, or a bigger brother. So it does work, but we need funding in regards to manpower. Manpower is what we need. But we are in City Hall. We're talking, you know, we had a mayor speak at one of our events. We did a graduation. The mayor spoke. So we're connecting with political figures and letting them know, let them be aware of our challenges and what do we need, you know, because we could complain to City Hall and we could say, oh man, but we got to come up with solutions. If you're just complaining and you don't have a solution, it's really, what's the point then? You know what I'm saying? So we're not just complaining. We're coming up with models. We're coming up with solutions that you could actually see that is tangible, that these goals that we're setting is not unrealistic. They are actually, in fact, achievable. So with that, I mean, that give us good leverage. But like I said, funding is just to really get to donors and those who want to support the cause to really invest and say, okay, show us what you're doing and I will invest. Well, of course, we can show you what we're doing. We can show you our goals. We can show you our outcome. We can show you stats, statistics. So those are the challenges we face, is really the financial support for manpower for a big team, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And tell me, just like, you said that you work with the age range between 19 and 29, was it?
16.
16 to 29. Okay. What would you say is I mean, there's a moment where you know, youth are challenged more. Like, what is your objective in trying to work with the youth? Like, what is that maybe the question is more or less like, why this specific age range, you
Okay.
know?
Well,
Because I think it's a significant thing that you're choosing to do. But based on what you've seen and who needs support, like why this age range? How did you end finding that focus there?
good question. It's really based off statistics. So we do things from our experience, but we need research. We need data to really support anything that we're going to put in place. So we do research. We found that from the age 16 to 24, that's where the most crimes is committed by young people. You know, so 16, a person starts to explore crime. I remember myself at 16, you know, 24. So when you get to 17, 18, then 19, 20, you start to get to the peak. And then once you start to get older, it goes back down. So once you pass 24, it goes down, but a slow margin, but it is actually declining. So now 29 is the limit now. So from 24 to 25, 29, that's where now they're going to need those supports, right? Because now if they're coming out of a criminal world, enterprise of crime, and now they're being this age, their opportunities are reducing. You know, you're 28, you're 29 now. There's no more jobs. I mean, like, you know, you don't start your career. You possibly, you know, you can, but it's not really normal for you to start your career at 29. You know what I'm saying? So the chances are going. So we want to not only target them at the age where it's increasing, but also go to where the age where it's declining as well, to get them in the loop before it's too late. You know, because now once you hit 30, 31 and all these going up there, you know, though criminal, the desire, and you can look at statistically, you'll see, I mean, of course you got people of those age in the jails, but it's the young people filling up the jail cells. You know what I'm saying? And that's not even just Canada, that's just America as well, because I worked in America, and you see the young people, you know, you got the older ones with bigger charges or whatever, but you know, so statistically that gives you the answer. You see from the age 16 to 24, that's it. You know, it start to the people start to get curious and start to get their, you know, adulthood. You know, young people, when you're 16, you feel like you're grown, start to make your own decisions. Your mother can't talk to you no more. Daddy can't really talk to you no more. So then you're rebellious. Then you start catching charges. You know what I'm saying? And then now you get skilled in it. You know what I'm saying? So now it becomes a career, you know, and then now you become an OG now, 27, 28. You're now an old head, and these young kids, 16, 18, got their guns and they're blazing, and they, you know what I mean? So then you know, you're kind of out of the loop. So that is, we do it by a statistical approach, and we research, constantly looking at data to see what are the changes. And because we're in the trenches as well, we can see it for ourselves. So we don't just go by stats, because sometimes in companies and governments, you know, they play with numbers in everything. You know, you don't really know what's really accurate numbers. So we don't just go by that. We do it as a reference point. But we're out in the hoods, we're in the neighborhoods, and that's why with a young man like Aaron, that's why he's good for the team, and he got his own career now, but he still volunteers. So we use him whenever it's applicable. Even for a situation like this, I called him up. Hey, you know, let's get into this thing, and he was down. So you know, he's ready to work. So, but him coming from certain neighborhoods, it brings him a little credential. People know him. People know his past life, and he got a criminal record. That's him. Yeah, I mean, they're him. You know what I mean? You could see the reflection. So you could see, you know what? I can change my life. I got a gun charge too. And if you could do it, I could do it. And we need those people to show that they did it. Because I can't just be preaching like, yo, you could do it. I mean, it's very good and inspiring, but you got to see people that are really like, okay, do you got a record? Nah, I don't have a record. You understand? Oh, but this guy have a record. The other guy that was supposed to be on, he have a record, been in prison, did some time. You know, so we need to recruit those guys and build them up and then put them back out. Get them on the right track. You know what I'm saying? And males, that's why I mean, like, males is very important. You need to see black men, especially, like, you, because we're missing. And I always say this: the women always been riding. They're everywhere. They're in all these committees. They're doing all the organizations. I know we love them, we cherish them, but we need some men to now step up and take that forefront and say, listen, young man, because that's when the men are listening. You'd be surprised. And we do get some challenges, but they're listening. I'm so floored when I'm saying certain things, and they just follow, and I'm like, wow. It's a male figure. You need that male figure. You understand what I'm saying? And the lacking of fathers in homes contributed to it. And some of them are incarcerated and all these things. So when they see somebody in that role take the right leadership, you understand what I'm saying? Of course, we could have Martin Luther King again, Malcolm X again. You know, that spirit, we need to resurrect that spirit. You know what I'm saying? Because people are willing and ready to go, you know?
I hear you, man. Aaron, like, what would you say is, because you're still a young man, you're not as old as us. Now that you're in this particular place now in your life, like, what could you say was influencing your choices then, and what is influencing your choices now? If that makes sense. You may have frozen, I think.
So sorry, can you repeat the question? From what I heard is you guys are old, I'm young.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all you want to hear. That's all you want to hear.
Yeah, that was the first part, but now what I'm asking is what was influencing your choices, the choices you were making, when you were a younger man, and now that you've gone through this, what's influencing your choices now? Like, what's at the core of them? What was well, you know, when we're talking about youth, and I'm sure you're talking with other individuals, like you're sharing your experiences, and I'm curious if you are, now that you're in this particular point of your life, that you can identify, well, truthfully, what was really motivating your choices when you were a younger man.
It looks like we might have lost him because I don't see him. So I think his technical issues have caused him to drop the call, unfortunately, because this was a really good conversation. We'll see if he's back on. Okay, here we go. Hey, Aaron, did you hear any of the question that was posed to you by Charles? You have to unmute. Okay, there we go. Did you hear any of that or no?
Yeah, just give me 1 second. I'm actually, yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, fine.
Yes, but I'm actually gonna try to switch devices right now. It might
Okay,
be it might be a little bit better. Okay, just give me 1 second. Okay.
Yeah, and I'll keep talking with Eddie then, just in the meantime. So you mentioned like Black men is important and stuff, but I think they're, you know, women are. Tell me about the women that have come through your program, and how are you? What is your approach? Like, is there a differentiation in how you're approaching? Do you have other women also that you're working with? Like, just tell me about that experience, because I think that we, you know, with that focus, it's always about the brothers and getting locked up, right?
Right. There's a few things I want to say based off that question. Sure. Statistically, is what the amount of men incarcerated is a overwhelmingly higher rate. So yes. It's not to put anyone out or exclude anyone, because our program we do have women, but there's so much. We have our population to women to men is the ratio is way imbalanced. And I want to just acknowledge Crystal Hines, this young lady that's in the chat. She's a part of the Hope team. She's a new member. She's a care manager, and she is a woman, a very powerful Black woman as well. So I want to, if we could draw her in the conversation, that'd be amazing. I always want to bring people in. She definitely could articulate, and she represents Hope very well. Anyway, but it's more Black men, you know. And I want to say when you talk about oppression, the system. That was the structures to get the Black men out of the homes, you know, coming to Canada. And I would want to say my views and perspectives does not reflect the organization that I work for. So I want to just put that disclaimer out there, because this is just all me, you know. But looking at the system, I come here and it's a system called Ontario Works. So it sounds good, Ontario Works, but in actuality, it doesn't work. You understand what I'm saying? Because if a man is in the house, and I've seen this already, you know, the woman will not get that financial support that she needs. You understand what I'm saying? So guess what happens? She's forced to now make that man be invisible. You understand what I'm saying? So he got to come, or he could come home or whatever, but then he got to leave. He's not really there. Like he's misplaced in the house. You understand what I'm saying? This is my first experience. But when I came here, I moved in the hood. I was on Jane and Chitaway, and this was a bad neighborhood, and it still is, quote unquote, considered a bad neighborhood. So I'm in the house, and I'm seeing the system as like, you got to be now a part of, you know, like the man don't exist for the woman to get that financial support she needs. So then she get that support and is pushing them out. It's a systematic oppression, and it's a strategy that it will cripple the communities. You know, I could go into more of that, but I just want to say statistically, again, I go by stats, and that give us the data, and I don't go by stats alone. I go out there and see for myself to really confirm it. So yes, what men are being targeted. It always been. You understand? That's why when they get locked up, and that's why in the child support system in America, all these different systemic things, you know, because a guy would be locked up for not paying child support, and now he can't even work. He lost his job for child support, and now there's a system, and he can't get out. It is a lot. I mean, it's not so bad here, but it still exists. So these are the things that now I recognize. So the first thing is identify what are the problems. What are the barriers criminalistically that these individuals are facing that we have to now address? You understand what I'm saying? And what are our solutions? So that's just to show you that it's not a biased thing, because we love our woman, Black Empress, heal up all the time, and we big them up. But I said that first thing I said is that they've been there in the trenches for day one. My mother get the props. You understand? My father was in prison. You understand what I'm saying? Grandma raised us good. Like the woman always been there. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm just saying it is time for men to now really step in and say, listen, you've been holding us down for such a long time. I owe it to you and more. You understand what I'm saying? So that's all. That's why I want to just leave it at there and get Aaron's back. So pass it to her.
I push devices. Hopefully this is a lot better.
Already better.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. So from your question, your last question, all I heard was you guys are old and I'm young. That's all I heard. So, please ask me again. I can give you the best answer I can.
Yes. What I was just asking was, you know, it's more based and rooted in your personal experiences, but from as you can reflect now from the place you are now, when you were younger, when, you know, the first time when you were incarcerated, like what was motivating your choices then, and what is the difference, and what's motivating your choices now?
Well, to be honest, it's the same motivation. As humans, as anybody, we want the same thing: nice house, nice car, family, right? Some differ along those lines, but that's what we want. I always knew what I wanted. The first time I was arrested for a firearm, I was in York University. Like I knew what I wanted. I was just at the time I was playing both sides, you know, as whatever, trying to make it work. But I always knew what I wanted. People know what they want. It's just how do you get there? At the time I never knew the consequences fully of what a criminal record will hold, you know, or just being arrested, being that type of lifestyle, because they tell you, yeah, you can get a criminal record, it's bad, you can't get a job, but you don't know how long that really lasts. Right now, I cannot get a pardon for the next 6 years. And that's me just applying for a pardon, right? Wow. I was arrested in 2012 for this offense. So what do you expect somebody from 2012 to do for the next, like, you know what I mean? So the original question is same motivational factors, but now it's just, I know the proper steps that won't, you know, get me in more trouble or have consequences, you know, and that, as young Black men or young people in the community, we don't have the proper bridge to take, you know. I mean, it's there, you know. I'm not gonna say society doesn't know that we can be plumbers and all type of different trades and different careers, but what's the most appealing to us in our community, and then as well as how do we get there properly? You know, I'm pretty sure if you talk to any person who has a criminal record or someone who's about to get into crime or selling drugs or whatever, and you let them know, hey, you know, if you work really hard for the next 4 years in school, you can work with your hands, you can work in an office, you can get this much money, you know? I mean, theoretically, we know that, oh, go to school, but if someone's actually there showing you the pathway of how to do that, that's totally different than, you know, having what we have in our community, which is just drugs, you know, firearms, different stuff like that, right? Just knowing now, having more information, having more education on that, you know, and then not only that, if we want to get a little bit more deeper and stuff, like just educating where we came from, you know what I mean? I think if a lot of people knew about the transatlantic slave trade and different things like that, it would be a lot different. If you know where you're coming from, you don't want to go to the same place, basically, you know what I mean? And yeah, we learn about slavery and stuff in school, but is it in depth? Is there a connection? You know, if you're telling me about slavery, it's different than, you know, if my teacher who happens to be white is telling me, you know, it's a lot different. So we need representation, like Eddie said, and we need those who can show us a proper pathway into how we can get into where we want to go, because we all want to go to the same places. When you see somebody who's on TV who, you know, did a heinous crime, he robbed a jewelry store, he did this or she did that, they didn't do it so they can, you know, just live quickly. Like, no, the goal is for anybody who's working any type of work or what you call work is to live nicely, you know, at some point, right? So just having a clear pathway kind of, you know, sets that difference.
That makes a lot of sense, because it's I mean, it's the truth. None of it makes sense. It's the truth. It's you know, words that come to me is even when I was working in, you know, in Billaways with the youth, and there was a situation that happened where I got a call one day from one of the young men, and he was 13 years old, and he had a firearm,
Mm-hmm.
because one of the older cats, whatever the situation, and he called me because he didn't know what to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to, you know, go there and talk to these to him and his about 4 young men, and I didn't force anything on them, but I was just like, with that one instrument in your hand, these are how many lives that can be lost.
Mm-hmm.
You can sell it,
Mm-hmm.
and then you all can go and have Big Macs,
Mm-hmm.
but still know that 6 people, like these amount of people that whose lives could be completely gone.
Oh,
And
it's a domino effect at all times in every decision.
Right.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to do in that position specifically, other than try to be there for the young men that I was building this relationship for. But but they reached out, and that to me is definitely an indication. So because that they're thinking about it, they know that this can go in a direction. It's not like they don't know. So, but and even with that, it's like what you were talking about, pathways and access. As one brother to 2 other brothers here, like, what do you think it is when older brothers lead younger brothers astray?
Eddie, would you like to speak on this, or would you like me to speak on it first?
You could go first.
In terms of what you've also been seeing and who you've been working with, is that something that's really like
Well, the thing
about?
is, yeah, I think there's, you know, education is everything, right? So when you're younger, you look at an older in your neighborhood, you know, he's making more money than the teachers. He has a couple stuff, you know, he's respected and stuff. I mean, you're looking at that and you think that's the best thing, right? You that is the most powerful thing. But I mean, some of them are OGs, but some of them are PDs. They're penitentiary directors. They direct you to the penitentiary, you know. Like Eddie said, with age now, it's misguidance. People who've been misguiding other people, you know. And the good thing about me is why I like being myself. Even though I'm doing good now, I'm positive things, people know where I'm coming from. So when they see me and they talk to me, they're like, yes, OG, like, what do you think about this? What do you know? So when you're authentic, you know, it's okay. You can make doing positive, doing legal, having a career, you can make that cool. That's not a problem. But I think it's from a little bit of influence, you know, like people who are now, they're not you know, fully grasping the situation of telling that young guy to do something, or, you know, to leading somebody in a bad direction. You know, themselves is not really grasping the fullness of it, right? So I think once you grow up a little bit, you get some education, you know, and the mind tries to change a little bit, you really see the ripple effect, like you were talking about earlier, of when you influence somebody, you know, like influence a very big thing. So I think when you understand the power that you have with your words and what you tell people to do, or what you influence with them, or what information you give them, that's a big thing as well. I think giving people information, you know, the correct information and suitable information for them, it helps them a lot. So for example, if a young guy's coming to me and says, you know, I want to get a career one day, I want to do this, I wouldn't say, hey, just go to university for 4 years, because is that realistic in their situation? They might have to pay bills at home. They might have to do a lot of different things. And that is compounded stress, having to pay bills, you know, the single mother lifestyle, right? And being a product of that. How is that in the home, right? So more realistic, I'll be like, hey, look, you can go to college for 2 years, right? And then you can work, and then you can bridge and go to university for 2 years and come out with 2 diplomas, or a diploma and a bachelor's. And then if something real happens in life, you can take that break once after your 2 years, you know. So I try to give realistic bridging, realistic, like, you know, advice for those. Yeah, I meet those where they need to be met, basically.
That's fantastic. That's important. Eddie, can you just maybe talk a little bit about, I mean, something that we as, you know, the Black community, even, you know, I think it's a factor into all this is mental health.
Okay, yes, that's a good one. That's very good.
How does that play into your program? Does it play into your program? Have you seen
Oh, yeah.
signs of yeah, like how do you you roll with that?
Yes, everybody that I exist on the planet, I believe, have mental health issues. It's just a level, right? It's just a level of mental health. You know, I have mental health issues, didn't know it. You understand what I'm saying? So it's just it's a thing that need to be addressed. And in the Black community, the culture, especially Caribbean, I'm African, you know, but just Black, I think Black across the board. When it comes to male dealing with emotions, we were taught and grew up different, you know, because if you cry or you express emotions, people say you're acting like a girl or you soft. So we didn't have that luxury that the females had to just cry or, you know, react to an emotional situation in that manner. So we had to just tough it up. And especially culture. I'm from a West Indian background, you know. My father's from Belize, my mother's from Jamaica, and is a rough background, you know. My grandfather, I love him, you know, preacher too. He was a Rasta, became a preacher, and he's a wonderful guy. But when I say, "Grandpa, give me a hug," you know what I mean, it's very stiff, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, like, hug, lose up, you know what I mean? Like, and he's like, cool. And I'm like, dang, you know what I'm saying? I know my grandfather love me, but he can't express that. You know what I mean? It's weird for him. You understand what I'm saying? So that's the culture we grew up. You know what I mean? I grew up that way, but I broke free of it because I'm not gonna let nobody, you know what I mean? Show love. You know what I mean? I show these brothers love, and they embrace it though. You see what I'm saying? So it's something that's needed. You know what I'm saying? These brothers need a hug, man. You understand what I'm saying? And once I'm comfortable in my manhood, so I ain't worried about nothing. So when I hug these guys and say, yo, love, much love, respect, and I just show them that and they feel it, they embrace it. They like, dang, you know what I'm saying? Some of them be like, yo, nobody in my family cares for me like you do. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, that's sad, man. But I'm just like, yeah, man, we here. You know what I'm saying? To just address one of your questions earlier, but briefly, you were saying, how do we deal with those people? Like, we don't give up on no one. You understand? But we have to prioritize because stakeholders are invested. So we can't make the organization look bad because people are playing around. So we have to prioritize those, but we don't turn our backs on no one. You understand what I'm saying? So those one who give us rough, you know, like Aaron said, one calling me from jail, like, yo, Eddie, man, he telling me sorry, but it ain't me, it's your life. But he's telling me sorry because he felt like, dang, I should have listened. You understand what I'm saying? So they come back. They're going to come back. Once you're giving them love and they know that you're genuine, they're going to come back. But we can't sit there and wait for them. We have to go with those who's ready. Say, yo, Eddie, like Aaron. Eddie's ready to go. And we have some other guys like him that's ready to change their life. We have to jump on them and put them in the front. But those other guys, we never going to turn our back on them because at the end of the day, they can say, yo, this guy never turned his back on me. You understand? And people need that because mental health is a crisis and we're facing it in a detrimental way. Is so overrepresented in the Black community, you know, and we're not dealing with it. You understand what I'm saying? We can't cry. We can't show affection. We don't see counseling. I just recently started seeing a counselor, you know what I mean? And I'm a grown old man, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, dang, like imagine I had these outlets. That's why I was angry. You understand what I'm saying? I seen a dope boy sell my father drug when he came out of prison. So when I was young, I had that murder in me. I was like, I'm ready to put it on somebody. Like I was really street. You know what I'm saying? Because I was messed up. You know what I mean? Drug up, crack epidemic sometimes. And then I just see this guy sell my dad drugs, and he's grinning at me like that. Like I was mashed up. Like as a child, you don't want your dad to be on dope. You know what I'm saying? Prison was it was a tough thing. So he's in prison, but dope is like, oh man, my dad's a dope head. You know what I mean? So those things mashed me up. I turned to the bottle for a little bit. You understand what I'm saying? But I was able to find strength. You know, God, I give thanks to God because I don't know really how. You know, but with all this experience, I identify that we have a mental health crisis, and most of our guys come through. They seeing some type of counselor for mental health in some capacity, whether it's psychiatrist or mental health counseling, one-on-one counseling, anger management counseling. All our guys is into some type of counseling because we need it. You understand what I'm saying? So this is one of the formulas to the cure. We also even have an alcohol program because a lot of our guys drink and they get drunk and they really lose it too. You know what I'm saying? But we have programs now that address these issues, and it's not just systematic or feel like institutionalized. It's regular. We got down to earth people. That's why I got to be there. You know what I mean? I know how to change coats to be professional and to be a little more street, because if you make it street, they're more relaxed and feel good. It can't be like I'm going to this. You got to make it more comfortable. But these are mental health issues that we face every day, and we identify. So we're pinning on it. And we're putting these guys that have these issues, because we all have it, and we're directing them where they need to be, man. It's overrepresented. We can't cry. We can't be, oh, you're soft. You act like a girl. You're a punk. It's so much name calling. It's mental abuse, verbal abuse. You know what I mean? And even some stuff that my mother told me. She loved me. You understand what I'm saying? But mom is from Jamaica and she's rough. You know what I'm saying? And she would say something. I say, yo, just beat me, mom. Beat me. You know what I'm saying? So we have some mental health problems. You know what I'm saying? But identifying it and addressing it. You know what I mean?
And just add on what Eddie was saying, mental health it's everyone struggles with some level of it. Just to know that, like, for me, I was trying so hard by myself to change my life, you know? I do everything by myself, you know? And it's not because I think I'm better than anybody, it's just who I am, what I've been through, and it just shaped me, right? So if I never had Eddie there to land my placement and ultimately graduate school, that would have been a blow to my mental health. Imagine someone who's like doing everything by themselves and you're getting little progress. And then, you know, imagine I went to school, I couldn't graduate, I couldn't get a placement, nothing. It would have been a big shot to the heart. So, you know, having somebody there, speaking on the mental health piece within the Black community, especially for males, it is it's something that's needed. And it's not needed like what Eddie said, it's so institutionalized. Sometimes people just need someone there, a mentor, someone who's, you know, still going through stuff themselves, right? People don't have to be perfect. I think people don't want to see psychiatrists, people don't want to see counselors and stuff because they're used to a certain format, you know? They're just something like a shrink. You just go sit in a chair and you're talking. But if we can tailor programs that are a little bit more open, you know, where even the person who's the admin, so say if I'm there and I'm doing the anger management, I'm expressing myself too. I'm telling you guys what I've been through during the week, you know, and it's therapeutic for me. People can see when I'm expressing myself saying, bro, I've been through this week, whatever. They see that I'm participating and they see that I'm relieving myself a little bit. So it kind of forces them or not motivates them to participate, which is ultimately healing them, right? So that, you know, that's what I got to say about the mental health piece.
Yeah, it's important. It's important because it's like, it is, you know, the idea that when you're stuck in a spot or the sort of place of thinking, it's like the historic generational trauma, you know, that's with that gets past the cycle of it. And I mean, we're using terminology and language now, but it was like, it's real.
Yeah.
It's real that it's part of a cycle. And if we're not, you know, addressing and contending with the traumas that we've experienced, right? Like even when you just described Eddie, it's like, you know, you're witnessing trauma in front of you, and then we adopt these things as people, and then we you know, it charges you in a way, you know. So I think that it's like, you know, breaking down this sort of idea that even, you know, seeking that sort of support is a soft thing to do. No, it actually it's actually getting you closer to your own ancestral history and the truth of who you are. So it's just another way of paying attention to that. And it's so it just brings me to something with around because I loved what you mentioned earlier about history and understanding. Like, you know, I was making another film a little while ago in Cuba with a woman from Harlem. She was part of the Black Panther movement. She'd been living in exile for over 30 years.
Yeah.
And you know, she's seen a lot. She and her Matulu Shakur, they created like an acupuncture clinic. But in that clinic, there were history and politics was a part of their rehabilitation sort of process, because you're not only trying to get people better physically, but for them to understand their story. And this is part of the narrative of keeping us away from understanding ourselves, so that we're kind of floundering and lost in this sort of this space. Within the program is how much you incorporate, like maybe like formal historical. Do you send people off to kind of look for things, to encourage them to seek, like how do you manage that?
Well, I think what I've seen with my two own eyes, Eddie, he puts on a hell of a Black History event every year, right? And there's so many different ways. So from the first one that he did, he had young Black men coming out in suits on a red carpet. You know, the confidence is just through the roof. Some of them said like this is the first time they ever put on a suit. Down to there was times he was doing like African tribal performances and stuff, you know. And I think Eddie, I'm not sure, I forgot the name of the bookstore, but we connect with different agencies and different stakeholders and different companies that are very you know, culturally, yes, a different book list. Yes, thank you, Crystal. So like yeah, we connect with different people, you know, who have deep roots within history. And you know, I think like the way that I do it and the way that we do it is just like we're trying to make it fun. You know, everything can't be fun, right? But instead of hitting you over the head with the books, we try to bring you to that place and make you learn and look and see for yourselves, you know, and a general interest usually sparks, and that leads into more in-depth research and stuff like that.
Powerful. That's powerful. And Eddie, just can give me a sense of like the regions that you work. Are you more like centralized here in Ontario? Like, tell me the scope of what where you are and where you're aspiring to.
So we're in Toronto. We do have clients that are outside of Toronto, but it's primarily Toronto. Some of our guys want to move and get out the city, so we still work with them. You know, we connect them with agencies in their region, but we're Toronto based. You know, Toronto have a few million people, so we have to. There's a lot of people. You know, we can't cover the GTA as we would want. There's only a little bit of us, but I do want to shout out the whole team. Hope is here. You know, Alexandra and Crystal's here, and then me and you, 2 men and 2 women. Powerful combinations, you know what I mean? So, you know, it's blessed for us to all be here, support each other, you know, but we're Toronto based. But when it comes to prison and jails, they're everywhere. So we go to all the jails, all the prisons that, you know, over 2 hours driving, we can't go. That's beyond, you know. So, but we go at least 2 hours out. So we at Collins Bay. We're over at the I don't remember the names off my head right now, but we're there. We go to all of them. We do different things, you know. Some of them give us more clearance to go inside. We were inside Toronto South Detention Center before the COVID hit, and them brothers was rejoicing when they seen us, man. It's powerful. I'm telling you, Black guys going into prisons, man, they see people that look like them and got a story. You know, they were just like amazed. They were hooraying us, man. You know, so I know that this is not a figure of speech. It's not a theory. This is practical. If we could get in those jails and they could see us representation, like, oh my God, we can make a difference. We are making a difference, and we could do a lot more. You know what I mean? So, but
And
Toronto.
just to add, I know Eddie's not tuning his horn that heavy, but the reach is far. You know, we did have a client who was in Barbados locked up, and Eddie organized that. He is now in Toronto. You know,
wow.
Different people, yeah, different countries, man. So even when Eddie told me that we're working with someone who's in Barbados, I was like, whoa, what type of place is this? Like, who working? You know, but yes, the reach is very long, man. The reach is, yeah.
Wow. And I guess let me ask Jessica, how, like, what time are we going to? 8:25.
Mm-hmm. So we're running a little bit long on time, but it's okay. We can keep going and come to conclusion.
Maybe just another 5 minutes. I've been on Zooms all day. It's I guess let's see. Maybe Eddie, if you can, because I know there's facets to the program, but would you be able to just play a scenario with me for a second? Like,
Of course.
like if I'm somebody that you're trying to possibly get to be interested in participating in your program, talk me through a little bit about those steps. Like, so if I'm like, because right now, if there's someone listening out there or something, someone's just taking this in, and maybe again when we're talking about, I'm talking about males and females, but
Yes.
that skepticism, like that tries, like, what could you say that is like a little bit of about the process of getting in, connecting, and what we would do together?
Okay, that's good question. And so because we 85% to answer your question, Bobby, earlier, you asked Aaron, but I want to just chime in on it and then come right to you. 85% of our clients are Black, but though we do deal with all races, we don't discriminate. We helping everybody who's dealing with the issue of criminal justice on their back, but predominantly Black. So it kind of just by the way this is set up, it tailors to that. It caters to that a little more, but we deal with everybody. But it all depends who you are, Charles. So if you were white, if you was Latino, it depends what's your background. I gotta find something that attracts you. You understand what I'm saying? So the program is designed for everybody, and every client we deal with is specifically tailor-made like astute. So it's not just a cookie cut fit goes for everybody. It would never work that way. It's for everybody individually, crafted for that individual. So it all depends what neighborhood you're from, what's your background. Hey, do you like music? Okay, we do music. Oh, we got studio connections. This is like, oh my God. They're lighting up because a lot of these guys doing, rap. You go to the jails, I'm like, yo, I'm writing some rhymes, and I don't discourage nobody's dreams, but I always just say, make sure you have something else other than that. My mother told me that too, because I grew up rapping. I'm a rapper, you know what I'm saying? And I barely made it through high school. And when I graduated, people going to university, I was so ashamed. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, I'm out of school. I don't got nothing to do. I'm doing nothing. I waste my life. My mom brought me down to trade school, learned a little trade. Needless to say, I just graduated recently, got my bachelor's in criminal justice. So I'm proud of myself. You're never too old, you know what I mean? Give thanks, So, but it's tailor-made. So tailor-made. So for you, for individual, sometimes the probation officer or the social service worker. So I said, don't even tell them about the program because they probably they don't know me yet. So they're gonna think it's boring or it's whack or whatever program. But tell them that we got free haircuts on Tuesdays. That's what I'm saying. Tell them if they want to play pool. You know what I mean? We got a pool. You know what I mean? Tell them they got, we got a basketball. Like throw things out there that might bait them. You know what I'm saying? So when we like, oh yeah, we got some free haircuts. Guess what happened? Guy sitting in the chair, and all I need is a person to sit in the chair because you know how it is. You put a person in the chair, they spilling the beans, they tell you about everything, their whole life, their mama this, the brother this, all the stuff you don't need to know or you need to know. You know what I'm saying? Everything. So once I get them in the chair, then I'm like, oh, I run a program. Like, what? You cut my hair, but you running a program? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's so cool because it's like, oh shoot. The barber, yeah, I'll be in the program. So it's a lot. And these are the tricks. So we have to be creative on how we entice these guys. I had a counselor, and I'm working with him. He's in an alcohol program. He's an old. No, he's not an older white guy, but he got a heavy beard and he look kind of older white guy. And he's a counselor. And I'm like, listen, we need a counselor, man, but you got to come play basketball with us. He's like, I don't play basketball. I said, it doesn't matter. Just come. I said, this is how you win people. You got to meet them where they at. You can't tell them come up and I'll help you. I got to come down. You understand what I'm saying? That's a little gospel right there. Christ came down. But anyway, you got to come down. So here is it. So I'm like, come play ball with us. And he's like, all right. So he there, the one white dude, everybody playing ball, you know what I'm saying? And they like, yo, who are you? He's like, I'm a substance abuse counselor. And he's like, cool. I'm like, it wasn't cool, but because he playing basketball is cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody would say it's cool. Like, but you playing ball and you a substance counselor, that's cool. And that's how it's cool. So you got to be able to diversify. You got to you blend in. You understand what I'm saying? So that's how we do it. So wherever you from, I got to size you up and figure you out and get some information from you. And then I could still know what to hit you with. Because I'm not going to try to scare you away. You know what I mean? Some people, because I see the way they at, I give them the intimidation factor. Boy, if you don't get your life together, you're going to jail. But I can't do that with everybody. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, so it's just depend on, you know, who you are and what's your background. You understand what I'm saying? And another leverage we meet parents. Because I thought about it when my son was in school. If I wasn't there for him as a parent, he wouldn't have made it through school for one. And the teachers would have, like, the treatment. They got to, in school, these schools, especially Black schools, the parents got to be involved. And because of a lack of involvement in these PTA meetings and all of this stuff, the kids them are failing. So we have to be present. So what I do now, I specifically make sure I meet the mom, the grandmother, the father, whoever's your relative. I got to know them because they're going to bring us as a part of the wraparound system, but it's also getting in your space a little bit. So it's giving you less room to fight and resist. Because now I'll be like, yo, I'm telling your mom. You're like, oh, shoot. Yo, Eddie, I'm coming. I don't want you calling my mother no more. And they fussing with me. I'm like, it's whatever. Like, that's good. Like, all right, I'm not going to call her. You don't tell my mom. You know what I'm saying? But the mothers need it as well. Because when you go to the jails, who's there? The mothers. You understand what I'm saying? When you go to the prisons, who you see there? The women. The women are doing all the visitations.
Visitation, surety, everything.
There's barely any men there visiting. You understand what I'm saying? And I brought a man to see his son, and he couldn't even go in. He said, I can't. And I had to go tell his son, your dad's here, but he can't look through you at the glass and all that. So I had to try to break it down so he won't feel, you know what I mean? So it's a lot, man. But we understand, because we're coming from street and we know poverty. We understand that language. You understand what I'm saying? And we have resilience in us. You understand what I'm saying? So that we fight as well. So we fight. You know what I'm saying? That same street skill, this is what I tell them. You got to translate it. You got to translate. I've been on the street, so I got to translate it to professionalism. I got to translate it, but it's the same me. You understand? People know me from our little, same me, same Aaron. He said the same desires. He want a house, car. So this is it. I'll close with this. But I did a workshop called Real Talk, and I said, where the dope boys at? You know what I'm saying? I got the dope boys handled. They're like, yo, all right. So what you do? They telling me because we cool. They tell me they think, you know, they're in the program. So I'm like, all right, let's do some math right now. You know what I'm saying? McDonald's, how much you get at McDonald's? Oh, you make this. And we put it down. I said, all right, how much you making? Oh, I'm making this. All right, but let's minus 6 months in prison. Let's minus lawyer fees because you need a real lawyer. For your charges, you can't take no legal aid. You need a real lawyer. Let's minus this. And now at the end of the year, how much you make? And we like, look at that McDonald boy. He ain't got no record. He ain't got nobody trying to kill him because you got your boys getting jealous trying to kill you. And you got the police running you down. Like you ain't got no way out. You could just jail, prison, or the grave and an everlasting record. You're stuck. And when I broke down the mathematics, they were like, yo, this is the realest thing I've ever heard. So you got to now be able to get in their mind because hustlers are money makers. You know, and Aaron was talking about school, but not everybody's school is not for everybody. This is an entrepreneur world. So listen, take your talents. We got to identify what they are and make you be successful in that. You could do your own business. You don't got to rely on these people no more, or government or system no more. Because here's one thing that we probably don't know. And we know, but we don't probably think about it. Think about all the people that are in the universities right now. You telling me that there's jobs for every one of them that's coming out for their degree? No way. So think about the person with the record now. He's at the bottom because if these people that are coming out with degrees, no criminal records, all fighting for the same job and have to settle for a job that is not even in they're more qualified now for. I work with a lot of people who got big degrees and they're not getting paid for it. So they're at the back. So we got to find another way. It's not just the school, because the school making their money, but these people coming out with degrees can't get a job. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a lot to put in it. So we need to have these real conversations professionally and with these street guys, because once they understand, you think these guys ain't smart? These guys in prison and jails are brilliant in what they know. You understand what I'm saying? And that's how we got to get them. We got to be on their level and find out how they think. You know what I'm saying? This is it. I seen a video and the guy was saying he's suing the school system. And it was like a little, a skit. And it was so brilliant. The guy was saying, look at the technology of the car. And he showed the transition. He said, look at the technology of the phone. Showed the transition. He said, look at the technology of the school. And the school was almost identical to the 1800s. And he said, you failed because you have one system and everybody pass or fail according to this system. It doesn't work that way. Schools should be tailorized to everybody individually. I know some people with autism that are smart in certain things. Like I can't even touch them. You understand what I'm saying? So guess what happened? School training, all of this stuff have to be catered and designed for those individuals. And that's how it works. So when we're dealing with an approach when you're dealing with criminality, we have to now have the structure tailored for their charges, tailored for that individually, and that's how you get success. Thank you.
Respect. Bless you. Thank you so much. Hello, Crystal Alessandra. How are you? Thank you for joining. I think this was great. I was kind of thrown off the beginning of this conversation, but I would love to actually connect with you guys, with you all after this, just to continue conversation. And because I'm anyway, I won't say what else is on my mind, but are there anything you'd like to add, maybe between Crystal and Alessandra, if you want to add anything to this, or perhaps, I mean, I got a question. It's just, yeah, maybe if you could introduce yourselves and just kind of give us a flavor of like before we, you're like, just, yeah.
Crystal,
Speak up, guys.
first.
Speak up, y'all. Represent.
Go ahead, Alessandra.
No, I said Crystal first.
A, B, C. So A, honey, go.
All right, I'm Alessandra. I'm a part of Team Hope, which is great. I just started with them not too long ago, and it's been a really great experience, like learning a little bit more on incarcerated youth, and working with this population has been a completely different experience for me, a very eye-opening experience for me. Because I just finished my master's, so I had a lot of the knowledge behind it all, but not really like working hand in hand with these people on the ground. And so it's been a very powerful experience. And,
Great, congratulations on your master's. Where'd you go to school?
I went to Ryerson. I just finished my master's in August in criminology and social justice.
Excellent, excellent. And Crystal, you're up. Tell me.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. So many bars dropped throughout this entire conversation. But I'm Crystal. I'm relatively new to Hope, but it feels like I've been here forever because just the family and the dynamic is just phenomenal. Erin, it is so great to meet you finally. We're not going to be shy. But yeah, so I'm relatively new to Hope, but all of the work that I have done to date has been anchored in the mobilization and, just of communities on the front line, but then simultaneously recognizing systemic interventions that come into play and need to take place for our community and people. I've worked predominantly with Black women, youth, and families, but honestly, in terms of anything I'd want to add to the conversation, I think it was, I'm like Eddie, like I have a last point and then 10 last points for my last point. So I'm not even going to go there tonight. But one thing I will say that has been made evident since not even just the inception of this program, but my participation in Hope, is how the dedicatedness and the sincerity of heart that every single person who has been a part of this team has demonstrated and emulated and makes contagious for anyone who interacts with Hope, whether as a team member or a client. It is just so real. Like, you need to have a heart for this work. You need to have a conviction for this work, regardless of your background. And it is an honor to work in a space with people who understand the intricacies of working systemically, but like Eddie said, like bringing it to the streets and recognize, like, how do we really get on their level, right? And when we say get on their level, we're not saying like dumb it down, tone it down, but recognizing that these folks have real stories, right? And real life paths. And they also have real skill sets and strategies that people who have degrees don't have, right? And then it's our responsibility and are blessed with the honor to serve and mobilize and bring them out of those places, right? And so where I see Hope going, I see Hope and many programs alike being a model for alternatives to incarceration, to be honest, right? I see it being like an infrastructure that we build and begin prisons and government systems looking and saying, why are we spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to incarcerate people when we know that incarceration does not work? Incarceration does not rehabilitate. Incarceration, to be quite frank, is only a reproduction of legalized slavery, right? Because so like looking at like various mechanisms in place and the ways in which Hope is like just, and it doesn't surprise me. Eddie told me it's fun to start, like Hope like went off, like when it started, Aaron just did magic with it, but it doesn't surprise me because it's a necessity, right? And where there's what's the word, need is like the birthplace of innovation. I don't know, y'all know what I'm talking about, but yeah, it's a necessity. Right?
Mother of invention.
Yes, necessity is the mother of invention, right? And when a mother comes, like she just starts to, give birth to all these things. So that's where I see Hope going. It's a privilege and an honor to serve with incredible people in this capacity, and I look forward to seeing what we continue to create.
It's brilliant. Love your passion. It's really, really powerful. And it is a blessing, like this group, and I can just feel that there's a strong synergy, and there's actually like, there's I don't know, it feels like there's yeah, there's a collective unionized idea like that you're moving forward with. So it's hard for us to unionize. It's hard for us to kind of find the same, you know, agree on a mission and move together, like, you know, with authority towards that thing. And I think this is incredible. This is amazing. It's very important, and you have a believer, you have a supporter. So I think, you know, again, I would love to, like, you know, continue conversation after this, and however I can, you know, support and help out. But yeah, maybe the last thing I just want to ask, because it has been something that's been on my mind since, you know, this pandemic hit, and you know, could you just talk a little bit about how you're functioning right now in this time, like, because it is a different sort of scenario, and again, if there's something that that you need to help support in this time, but more or less, like, how are you functioning in this time right now?
For anyone else? Oh,
Yeah.
God.
So I'm gonna just let Crystal go ahead and shine. I know she want to talk. She's like, so I'm gonna let her go ahead.
No, I'm not gonna say anything.
No, go ahead, young lady.
Take the floor. Take the floor.
No, Erin was gonna talk. Go ahead.
No. I was going to say something very simple. I just think everyone's trying to function day to day. I mean, we're living lockdown to lockdown. This was only supposed to be for 2 weeks, guys. Remember last March? 2 weeks lockdown. So, you know, I think everyone's just taking it as it goes, and people's jobs and functions are changing as well. As we know, the courts, a lot of it's closed. Before, I hope we had what's going on was Zoom calls for courts, which is very crazy because people were committing crime for the necessity of money, necessarily don't have the technology and the stuff to attend Zoom or court virtually, right? So if you don't attend court, what happens is you get a discretionary bench warrant, right? So you're not having the technology, and they miss court 2 times, and now there's a warrant for them. So work is changing. The capacity of what we can do with people is changing a lot, especially with social distancing and stuff. We're all, you know, it's all playing a toll on us. No one's Superman or Superwoman. It's all playing a toll on us. So imagine the clients who are in a situation where they don't have the resources. So I think it's ever going, ever changing. But I think people are finding solutions. And one thing is, even though we're social distancing and we're supposed to not be interacting, I think it is our biggest tool. I think it's the best thing that we can do in these times to aid someone who is in a dire situation where they have conflict with the law, whether their health, whatever is going on. I think it is a tool. So we got to do it safely, but just having human interaction, having people who can walk alongside you, whether you have a conflict with the law, whatever situation it is. So I think that's a way that we can help.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Well, thank you so much for this crazy, amazing, inspiring conversation. I'm really proud of what you're doing. It makes it feel like, yeah, we have to choose what we do in our lives to kind of contribute to things. And you know, I chose making films and directing and telling these stories, but it's like, what you've chosen to do, or what's chosen you, is like, it's really, really, I love it. I just love what you're doing. So yeah, I think on that note, it's I'm just praying that you continue and in strength and solidarity, and like keep doing what you're doing. So lots of love. It's been really, really amazing to see your faces. So how do I sign off on this?
I think the best way would be for everyone to talk about, you know, a best way to contact or follow up with them if they want to know more about what you're doing, Charles, what you're doing, Eddie, what you're doing, Erin.
I am going to drop my email. That I'm drop my email here. I know, like, all of us in this room, we're all about advocating and always helping. So I think for me, email's the best. I dropped it in there. You guys, anybody wants to take advantage of it, any opportunities, any times to connect, I'm always here. I'm pretty sure anybody on the Hope team is here and willing to participate.
Okay, cool.
So,
Eddie? Eddie, you're muted.
Yeah, so I know a lot of people will be seeing this, so hope at ysm.ca is the best way to get me professionally. I am also on Instagram. I'm under my artist name because I do music. That's one of our languages to connect with the demographic and the population we serve, and it's been very healthy connecting. I get a lot of reference through social media as well. So you can find me on Instagram at The Dying Thief. That's a biblical character based off of second chances. So I use that, and that's my persona, The Dying Thief, second chance hope. So you could get me that on Instagram, and you can inbox me if you need help. Those that are watching, that will be watching and have issues with the law or know somebody and want to refer them, they could get me that. You get to me that quickly, and YSM, hope at ysm.ca as well. Thank you.
You're welcome.
fantastic.
Thank
Good
you,
stuff.
everyone, for joining this conversation tonight. I hope you got a lot from it, and I hope that we'll be able to help others that are dealing with issues and are looking for ideas on how to create programming for their communities and ways and methodologies in which it can help them engage with youth that are about to enter the criminal justice system, who are already actively involved in the justice system, and how we can help change and affect their lives. So thank you very much for taking part in this conversation. Thank you very much, Charles. I know you left your email address, but anyone that's interested in learning about you and more about your work can Google your production company, which is canesugarfilm.com. I think, is that your website?
Yes, I think that is. I don't even know anymore. But I think, yeah, Cane Sugar Film. I think you'll find me on Instagram or elsewhere.
Okay, lovely. All right, thank you very much, everyone. I hope that everyone is able to connect, off of this chat and do the good things for the community.
Thank you.
Have a great night, everyone.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Have a good night, everyone.
Les, thank you.
Team Hope.